Mark, what were your thoughts on Paris Fashion Week? What are your thoughts on our boy Column? Like,
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. Like, it's I don't understand the runway thing necessarily. Like, how that works within the fashion industry circle. Like, I get that, like, you're showing looks, but they're not actually going to get produced. This is just like concept stuff to like show.
Maybe explain that to people.
The direction of the brand. Like, these runways don't necessarily like make money, and they don't really influence fashion outside of the fashion world. They're basically a representation to show the industry, hey, here's what our brand is doing, and here's the direction that we're going to go. So the things that actually get sent to production might be reminiscent of what's happening on the runway, but they're not going to be actual products. Like when you see a girl wearing a fucking like, you know, like kiddie pool. It's not actually we're not gonna be selling the kiddie pool in the store. This is just pushing the envelope of fashion, saying, hey, here's what the brand is doing and where we're going.
It almost feels like
like a car expo.
Yeah, I was about to say that, like a concept car.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask.
And the concept cars are fire, but they're not realistic to be made. It might be too expensive to make a car like that. It might not fit with like certain requirements. So these outfits that we're seeing are done with, you know, KidSuper's ideas and his team's ideas, but they're also blended with Louis Vuitton. But we're not really gonna be able to buy these things in the store exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
but you'll see like aspects of it like 1 or 2 seasons later.
Or maybe the theme, or they're moving more towards things that'll be released. So like what Column released at the Louis Vuitton show, like there is a good percentage of that will actually get into stores.
But not those exact fits. I think fits that would be reminiscent of those fits.
Yeah, exactly.
Thematically close. But I think some of like, did you see some of those briefcases?
The bags and things like that.
Some of that.
But I was just impressed with Colin in general. Like, he's in a really difficult position. I think people will relate to the situation, even if they don't necessarily know fashion outright. Yeah. But like, obviously, Virgil Abloh is like this pioneer in the fashion space. He creates Off-White, all the shit NBA players wear, like hypebeast stuff. And he was the former creative director of Louis Vuitton, and then was pushing Louis Vuitton and like created, like blended Louis Vuitton, which is like a high fashion brand, and streetwear together in a way that like no one had ever done before. He was like the messiah of like fashion for a long time, and then dies suddenly.
But also, and not only that, like you were explaining this, and we were talking to Devin about this, like what he did for other designers. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of times you're in a creative industry, you see this in comedy, podcasting, you see it in art, you see it in fashion. It's like the type of personality that makes you skyrocket to the top is there's a level of competitiveness, a level of almost like animosity and like hate for your competition. And apparently Virgil is like the most celebratory of other artists.
Extremely generous, extremely kind, wanted to give people opportunities. Like,
so he had crazy love in the world as well.
I think that's true in most industries though. Like, I feel like the narcissism and like the insane competitiveness, like you rocket to the middle and then you like don't necessarily.
West, bro, like
longevity is important.
That's the point, that the longevity is what gets you.
But he ain't rocket to the middle.
Right, I mean, like, maybe you just burn fast, but like you'll go, but you won't necessarily go far. But like just by being consistently talented and generous is what gives you like the long career that Virgil would have had, you know, had he not.
I think typically legacy-wise, also,
I don't agree with that at all. I think it is so much more rare that there's a Rogan. There's so much more rare that there's a Virgil. What is way more normal is a tyrant.
No, of course, that's more normal. But I think that those people burn away. Like I think I don't think they have the longevity.
I don't know, because I think that there are people right now that we might, you know, call tyrants, and like Steve Jobs was a tyrant, right? Like you have all these people who are absolute tyrants, and their ability to treat people in a disposable manner might allow them to be incredibly effective, but at the same time, like it's not the ideal situation where you're like rooting for them and you can't wait for them to succeed. And then Virgil or like Rogan or even like Drake in that way, like where he's putting on all these young people, there's so much love, not only from your competition, but like there's so much love from the people who are seeing you put on all these other creatives. Like it's just so fucking rare. So stepping into those shoes, as you were saying, with Column,
I think business is a little different than art. Whereas art is a reflection of you, typically, whatever you put out there. So if you're a designer, that's a reflection of you. You're a comic, that's a reflection of you. So if you are an inauthentic person, at a certain point, you could get famous as fuck, but at a certain point, it's just not going to last as long legacy-wise.
Yeah.
Kanye, I think, is so good at creating, what's the word you say, generating for? He's like a magnet for attention. So I think he's the outlier. But I think typically, the legendary artists, because they're just authentic, that's why it lasts. And then they tend to treat people better because you're an authentic person. But sorry to interrupt you.
No. I think you're completely right. But all that to say, like, it's an interesting position that he's in, that he's basically, there's this once in a lifetime generational talent, Virgil, that changed the whole game.
Yep.
And now Colin is tapped to sort of co-create this line with a really big fashion house. And it's just like a really high pressure, like high stakes situation to be in.
Yeah.
And then to see him kill it and to see him get recognition from all the people within the industry to be like, bro, you rose to the occasion. And I think a lot of people feel like that, like, if you get a promotion, you got to take over for someone else, like feeling that pressure and then seeing the person succeed in spite of it.
It's like,
go.
I'm not even taking a shot. It's almost like, imagine Seinfeld leaves Seinfeld and they replace him with another comic, and they're like, all right, buddy, you got to fill that guy's shoes.
Yeah.
Go kill it.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard. And I just think like he did it really well and the feedback was amazing.
That's great.
And then his own show, having all the comics is just so cool.
So
cool.
that was the other thing. Like, I love the way that Louis Vuitton did it, and hopefully this is by design. But even if it wasn't by design, but basically like not making this massive announcement. Here's the next face, because the second you do that, everybody who's missing Virgil and feels like Virgil was taken from them unfairly, which he was. Like the guy dies out of nowhere, then nobody had any idea that he even had cancer, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, instead, you have this guy going, well, he's going to co-create this brand and giving him the opportunity to win it over. And now you're kind of rooting for the underdog.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have the job yet. We've all felt like we don't have the job.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been up for something and wanting to succeed.
Yeah.
Like, I think positioning-wise, it was great. And then with his own show, the KidSuper Show, where he basically has a bunch of comics wearing the clothes. It's not the traditional models, you know. There were Santino's out there, Stavros was out there, Theo Von was out there.
Jeff Ross,
Mateo,
Yvonne.
Yvonne.
Orgy, she's great.
Yeah, she was great. And
Ferry, he's a French comedian.
Ferry was a French comedian, exactly.
Yeah,
and
Jay
then
Balvin.
Jay Balvin came and did a joke.
That's
like,
amazing.
Yeah.
and then Tyra hosted.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I knew Tyra was there.
And then
you were
I
in
was
it,
on the
which-
show,
yeah.
obviously, as well. And then like doing that and like transforming what one of these fashion shows can be. Like, it was by far the just most unique way of delivering the show.
Yeah.
And basically, when you look at all these other fashion shows, you're basically trying to go, what's the obstacle course for these emaciated people to walk around in?
Yeah.
That's the challenge. It's like, do they walk around in nothing? Do they walk around on water? Do they walk around in a house? Like, what is it? And he was just like, nah, we're not doing it with models. We're gonna have these comedians go up there. And
How was that?
son,
It was.
put it this way. Outside of the show, the theater held like 1,300.
Which you didn't know.
I didn't know. I thought it was gonna be 50 people.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
Me too. So I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna make fun of this motherfucker in front of his friends and like these high fashion people and then whatever. And then I found out the night before it's in this beautiful fucking theater. I was like, oh, I gotta like write some jokes for this shit. Like this is gonna be a real thing that I gotta succeed. We go outside of the fucking show before it starts. There's 5,000 people that are trying to get into the venue. The police are called. It's barricaded. There's fist fights in the street, like fashion fist fights, which is hilarious, right? Like dudes with nails and shit scratching each other. Like, it is crazy, okay? They gotta barricade the venue so people don't go in. They have to bring down those metal things that they're in
like
front
the
of the
closed
bodegas.
gates?
To protect it.
Yo,
and the
that's
venue was like,
crazy.
we're not doing this shit.
The
They
venue said
closed
no.
it.
The venue's like, we can't hold this many people. The fire department is getting called.
shit.
They thought
Right?
the show would get canceled for a second because it was just so packed.
And then
this
you have
is
to
the
think like,
Best case scenario.
no,
for him.
Yes.
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 Assuming no one gets hurt, but yeah.
Yes, for sure. But remember, the people that you want in that show are the writers from Vogue and from Women's Wear Daily and buyers for all these places because you want our boy to get the press and get this. And they're coming from another show all over, so they're showing up, and it's 5,000 people outside.
Best possible thing that could ever happen
Yes.
is all those people
Yes,
can't
yes,
even
yes.
get into a show.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
best
It's the best-
I told Mark
best case.
before the show even started, I was like, Mark, it would be awesome if we all went up and killed. Do you know it would be better? If the show never fucking happened.
Yeah.
Because 5,000 people tried to break into it, and
Yeah.
it was just absolute mayhem. It's
Yeah.
like, well, what is it? Why is there so much energy around KidSuper? They end up making the show happen. It's like an hour late, which is also fire.
Yeah.
Like,
Fashionably late.
boom.
Boom.
And Tyra goes up. Tyra's fucking great. All the comics go on. It's fucking funny. It's interesting. It's different.
Bro,
Like,
Theo was killing me, bro.
Theo's
During
crazy.
like the walkthroughs, like everyone's walking around, and Theo is just always Theo. It's amazing to watch him. I never really hung out with him, watching him on like his pod and stuff. But he's just standing there, and like they're giving the walkthrough, and this guy looks like Yoda is like explaining what to do. He's like, okay, so you walk around this, these are like this, and then it just gets dead silent. He just goes like, so how do you even win? He's like, but do you win? Like, how do you even win the thing? And they were like, no one wins. And he's like, oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
But he's just unbelievably funny.
yeah,
So
he's just fucking
you guys
great.
just walked? Like
No, so you walk onto the stage like a traditional theater,
Yeah.
right? You basically walk to the middle, make a right angle, walk to the front, and then you do a few minutes of stand-up.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, you get off.
What was that experience like?
You killed it.
So yeah, it was fun. It was fun, but like the crazy thing was not knowing what the audience was. I was like, do these motherfuckers speak English? Are they KidSuper specific fans? Are they fashion fans? Like, because I wanted to make some jokes about fashion. Because when will I ever have the opportunity to do that? Like kind of specific nuance shit.
Yeah.
So,
But a too cool show typically is not good.
Typically, but that's why it was the frenzy. People got in. I think they're already more geeked because
That's a
they're
good
like,
point.
I
They
got
felt
in.
like they're-
so it's a
yeah.
hotter crowd and they're more willing to laugh because like I'm gonna enjoy this shit that much more because they couldn't
Yeah.
get in and I could.
yeah. So it was cool.
And there's nothing fashion people want more than to be a part of the thing that nobody could get into.
Yeah.
Oh, the best. Can I read something from Vogue that they wrote on this?
yeah.
They wrote on like the comedians and their little
Fuck
bits.
yes, read it.
They wrote about Andrew. The closing act, Andrew Schulz worked a routine around Alexander Wang that was enough to give a publicist recurring nightmares.
So you guys heard of Alexander
Hey,
Wang?
you got some accusations.
Yeah, so he was basically like Me Tooing dudes like crazy.
Yeah.
And it was funny, like after the show, we're at the after party, and there was a bunch of these male models came up to me, and I know they're male models because they called themselves male models, which is the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Like you could just be like, we model.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like, we're male models.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, is that what gender?
Oh, I'm a male nurse. You're like,
So you gotta let them know. You know what I mean? It could be anything.
I mean, I'm gonna add gender to everything from now on.
Are you a male comedian?
I'm a male comedian,
Yeah.
and I was doing male comedy that night. Yeah. So I was like thinking, all right, what's the joke about like Alexander Wang? And I was able to like tie some things in and like kind of, whatever. We'll probably post it.
Yeah.
It'll be up soon. Whatever. We'll get it. We'll post it. And then just doing some other stuff. So it was cool to do something that I thought was like a unique set just for that environment.
Yeah.
That I kind of never do again.
Right.
And it was just fun. And then at the end, I had a kind of like thoughtful moment for Colin. It was kind of cool. There was like Colin used to go to the fucking Louis Vuitton store in New York when he was a teenager, and he would sell his shirts outside to the people waiting online to get in. And then I was like, and now he sells his shirts inside.
So that's fine.
And it was like, it's a fucking cool little moment for a guy who's really awesome and has been supportive of us. So.
Yeah. But even if you don't care about fashion, I feel like his story and what he's done like transcends to where it can go into any industry. That's what I thought was cool about it. And like
And his team too. Like he's got a great group of guys.
Photo
like shout out to
and all the guys.
Photo and like he's got what they got going on kind of reminds me of what we got going on, man. It's it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like even when they're putting together the show, I was like, oh, these motherfuckers don't have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're just doing it. And I was like, yeah, that's every project we've ever done.
Yeah.
We're like, we're gonna make a special for Netflix. And then they're like, have you done this? I'm like, man, don't worry about it. We gonna figure that out. Like.
But it's just cool, like, fashion is so exclusionary and so, like, no one can get in and, like, so too cool. And what he does is, like, opens it up. Most of these fashion shows are, like, 100 people. He's like, 1,300 people can come here. Like, fashion shows are like, oh, you have to look this way and you have to be this thing and you have to be super cool. And he's like, nah, fuck it, get Stavros in here.
Yeah.
Like, it feels much more open and much more, like,
What a shot to stop.
I don't know.
Of all the comics to call out.
Stavros was saying about himself, bro.
Stavros
Stavros is
and-
not necessarily a model per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he said it himself. He said, I hold the record for the fattest person to ever walk in Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
And I think that might
wow.
be true.
Yeah. No, it was fun. There was some good shit. And I just want to say thank you, everybody.